Alrighty, morning everyone. So, in this beautiful video, on this beautiful channel, on another beautiful day, we are going to scrap out a small pump. Yeah, sounds interesting, right? No? I think so. Because it's not any small pump, it's this pump over here. And this pump over here has some interesting stuff that might make it very much worthwhile. Let me explain. So, this thing is a pump. I mean, most of you know that. It's in most households nowadays. It pumps water from one to another place. And what this pump also does is it uses electricity to do so. So that means it needs some sort of motor. And there is one inside. It's not very small. It's not very big. It's very much comparable to the overall size of the pump. But that's not really the important part. The important part is that these pumps usually come with two water control pieces on each end. I would just phrase it that way for now. And one of those looks pretty much like that. It's just a big piece of brass. And as my yard only buys dirty brass, I can just leave all the metal stuff on. And I would reckon that we would probably get a good $10 from all of this brass and stuff that we can recover from this, because I would reckon that these metal pieces probably belong to this part. We'll see about that, but we're gonna take the whole thing apart, see how much money we can actually make, and then see if it's actually worth it to buy these for any sort of money, or if you should just take them if they are free. Most people don't think that they are worth anything, and so you can actually find a lot of those in dumpsters. This one obviously didn't come out of a dumpster because I have two dumpsters in my area, and they don't really have a lot of stuff in them. But yeah, so I guess we'll just see if this thing is worth it, see how much money we can make, and I'll bring you along for that. What we first need to do though is talk about what are we actually going to do. So what I will do is I'll try to unscrew these big nut thingies right here. I'm just going to put it in the vise and then twist it until they come loose, and that hopefully happens at some point. I don't really know, but I guess we're going to figure that out. So the other thing is that we obviously have to unbolt this top cast iron part from the bottom part. The bottom part is aluminum. We're gonna crack that open and get all the copper out of that. I'm gonna show you all of that as well. We're gonna have to undo these screws here. There are 4 of them, and then we also have to undo this very big brass screw on the bottom, and that's actually also worth a good chunk of money. And so yeah, I think we are just gonna go on with that. Go into time lapse, see how long it takes us, and see how much money we can make. I hope you enjoy. So let's go. Okay, so I quickly wanted to take a short minute and explain to you what I'm actually doing here. You can see I've used a piece of rebar to unscrew this top cast iron part, and that was because both this nut that was screwed into this thing and also the top part are both cast iron, and they just kind of rusted together, and you have to use some sort of lever, whatever you want to, however you want to pronounce that, and you need that to kind of pry this off of that, because as you saw right there, it's impossible to do that by hand. So you have to give it some slight hits with a hammer, and it's just gonna come loose, and then you can also unscrew this thing by hand. It's pretty easy stuff, but you sometimes need to do it when you're working with cast iron that's rusted into other stuff, because cast iron really loves to do that, and that's why cast iron isn't really the best material to do things out of that contain water. I don't know why people love to do that so much, probably because it's cheap, but it doesn't work very well, and so yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna annoy you with a bit of facts again. You can see this stator right there started to flex for the first time, and you can really see that it is majorly bending when I put like any pressure on it. The reason for that is that it is not attached. These metal plates are not actually attached to each other, and that makes it extremely hard to scrap something like that. Why is that a thing? Because it's just bending in all kinds of weird directions, and as you can see right here, or later, I even had to grab my wire cutters to deal with that problem, which I usually never do. I hate doing this tactic because it takes forever. It leaves weird, messed up ends of wire, but I just had to do it this way. You will later see this is becoming a real struggle right now. These kinds of stators are a real big problem for recycling without big machinery, because you really need a good place to hold onto with your tools, and you really don't have that with a stator like that. So you really just kind of have to rely on your luck with taking that apart, which I apparently didn't had today, because this is really about to get extremely bad. Alrighty-o. So, that was by far the hardest stator that I ever did. Usually, I have to admit that to you, usually this stator would have gone straight back into motors and I wouldn't have bothered with it any longer than 5 minutes, max. This was absolutely terrible. Why was that so terrible? Because this stator was not attached or glued or basically anything. It was just a bunch of steel plates that were held in place by the copper windings. And the result of that, as you saw in the time lapse and as I also talked about in the voiceover, was that this thing was bending everywhere and you couldn't keep it straight, you couldn't get the copper out of it. I mean, look at this thing now. It really looks like I've run it over with a truck like 6 times. It's absolutely hideous and it's also very sharp and pointy and I should probably put it down before I cut myself. But we made it happen. This thing is stripped down and we've got all the copper out of it and let's see what we made out of it. Yeah, it's not gonna be terrible. It's also not gonna be terribly great, but I guess we'll just see how much money we made and then we'll see. So let's start with the steel. There we go. That's the first. That's cast iron. This top part is cast iron. You can get them in bronze. That is obviously awesome because then you've got basically a kilo of bronze pretty much for free. Oh, there's a little bit of copper left in here. Obviously, I have to take that out for the amount of work that we put into that. We want to save every single gram. And so we've got approximately 1.5 kilos of steel. That comes out to 47%. I've already added that up for you. So let's put that aside. And we've got our irony brass. As I said, my yard only buys irony brass, so there's no need for me to take any of this stuff off. Not that I could, but yeah, because I would have to cut it off with an angle grinder, which would really suck. But yeah, my yard is gonna buy it as is. There we go. 1.2 kilos of irony brass. Let's check what that is in pounds. There we go, 2.6 pounds of brass. That's approximately $4. For me at least, for you it's probably more because, well, my prices are not really great. But yeah, that's already decent, you know. Pretty alright. We'll weigh up the aluminum now. Weighs approximately half a pound, and that would be like, yeah, maybe 45... 50 cents, something like that. More like 45 cents. Dollar cents, that is. And we'll weigh the copper. There we go. It's 0.8 pounds, but we'll just say 0.8 pounds in general because we obviously have the steel bucket that we would have to subtract. So that would be approximately another like 2.5 bucks maybe on the high end. It's about 300 grams, so yeah, $2.5 is approximately what I'm gonna get for that. So that would bring us to a total of, well, we've got like $4 from all the brass, and we've got like another maybe 40 cents from the aluminum, and then we've got another like $2.5 from our copper right here. So that would bring us to approximately, I would say, $7 maybe. As far as how long this took me the better part of 45 extremely annoying minutes. So is it worth it? No, it's not. No, it's not. I would do this if it was really fun work and if it wasn't very exhausting, but this is absolutely terrible. I mean, my hand feels like I've stretched some sort of tendon in there. It feels very weird and hurts at one part, and it's just all sorts of annoying. So no, don't do that. Well, I have to admit, not all pumps are like that. I strip a lot of pumps, and maybe like 10% of the pumps that I do actually are this bad. But there are ones that are this bad. And, you know, you kind of have to deal with that. It is what it is. And if you want to do this stuff, you might just have to walk away from some things. You know, that's what it is. You gotta love scrapping, otherwise you're gonna hate it. That's what I always say. And I think we at least made some money, we made something happen, and that's always better than not making anything happen. And so I would say it was still a success, even though you would barely make minimum wage and be very annoyed doing so. So yeah, probably not do that. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that this might be something that is interesting to you still, even though we didn't make a crap ton of money, but I still want to post stuff like that. I still want to share things like that, because it has to be here. It has to be on this channel for people to understand what scrapping is about. It's not always this kind of stuff where you make like $100 an hour. It's not always that. You also have stuff like that you should rather not do. So I think it's really important, also for transparency reasons, to talk about this kind of stuff and to also upload videos like that. So I really hope you enjoyed them. I really hope you learned something new. And even if it's just not to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I had some fun. Well, at least a little bit. And I really hope you had some fun. And yeah, please rate the video with either like a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you want to do that. And also, if you've got any questions whatsoever, or just want to say hi, write it in the comments below. I'd be very happy to answer that as well. And also, if you want to subscribe, because we almost have 500 subscribers. Isn't that crazy? I don't really know what that means, but I think it's good. So yeah, thank you very much for that, and don't forget to subscribe. And so yeah, I'll see you again in the next video. Have a fantastic week, and until next time.